My name is Lucas Smarker. I'm going to teach you guys how to make ocean waves in Quill. Right here we have a barreling wave. I'm going to teach you how to make that. And then just a shoreline wave over here that breaks against the sand. So I've been making waves in Maya and Houdini for a few years now. And I'm going to apply a little bit about those principles into what I created in Quill. And yeah, it's just a dream to work in this program compared to Maya and Houdini because you don't have to learn how to do simulations or figure out refraction or any of that stuff. You can make a whole wave in, an hour or two or compared to like a month. So
do you work in visual effects or
yeah, I worked in visual effects for like 3 years after college, and I actually got to make a wave, like a realistic one for like a music video in visual effects, which is pretty cool. It's in like a Maroon 5 with SZA. They're like surfing on a wave.
Wow.
It's cool to make realistic waves and stuff, but my goal was to like get good enough to make like stylized ones. So Quill is like exactly what I wanted to work in pretty much when I was like, oh, I can make waves in this and then just like make my character surf whatever, awesome looking wave. So let me start going into these elements that we're going to make. Let me just show you guys. I'm just going to go over like a quick little bit of terminology and what we'll be making. So to make a barreling wave like this, you pretty much need a base of a barreling wave of some geo that bends over. You need a lip of the wave, which is this white part, and then you need a big crashing of whitewater, and then add some lip spray, which is pretty much an extension of the lip that breaks off of it. And then add some surface texture. And then some sea foam too is helpful. To have both is best. So let me just undo that, and then let me hide this, and we'll jump in and start making this barreling wave. So what I want to make is a shape that's kind of like this. It's more of like an almond shape. You can make a barrel that's like a perfect circle, but it would look kind of crazy and stylized, which is cool too. But yeah, typically they're more like almonds. And then let's just create a new layer, and we're going to start by making the bottom half of that wave. So take your straight line tool, grab your capped ellipse brush, and pick a color, just a nice blue. Straight line tool. And then I'm just going to make a line about that big, and then go grab your grab tool and make it pretty big. And then just bend it until, hold on. Yeah, just bend it until it gets to the apex of the wave. So just to the highest part of that barrel. Because we're going to make the top part of the wave on a different piece of geo. Yeah, it's a little funky. I'm going to just kind of speed through this so you get the concept. But then just make this good from the front too. And let me just... Okay. Yeah. Little funky.
It's all good.
Yeah. This will work. It'll get the point across at least. And then, yeah, just go in and duplicate these a bunch. Gonna grab them all and then duplicate it another time. And then I'm gonna shrink it all down. Okay, and then I'm gonna make another layer. And this is gonna be the top part of the wave. Let me grab this template that we made and make it smaller again. So that's kind of the shape we're aiming for. Grab your straight line tool again, change the color to maybe like a lighter, maybe more aquamarine color, and then let's make it about this big, halfway across the grid. And then you can use your transform manipulator and bring it back just behind that wave. And then Yeah, I'm going to animate on 20 or 12 FPS. You can do 24 if you want, but it'll just be a little bit more time consuming. So 12 is cool. I kind of like choppier looking animation too, honestly. And then go to about 1.5 seconds in, which is 18 frames, and set a key on that top part of the lip, and then go to 0 and set another key. And we're going to just push this through the wave. About here is fine. And then we want to have the tangents to ease in, because it needs to go slow at the beginning and then fast at the end. And now I'm going to just put this in a group, and I'm going to loop it a frame after and then bake it, and then hide that original group. And then now we have a little baked part of the wave, and we can unloop that. And then go into your select in all frames tool, select all the frames, go to the last frame, and then just shape this to be more of an almond shape. You guys can still hear me and everything? Everything's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just listening quietly.
Okay,
it's going to be interesting. I have no idea what you're going to do. This is interesting to see what you're doing. Now, you're probably using Yari's technique, but just looking forward to see what's going to happen with this thing.
Yeah, I kept hearing a little bit of a noise on my computer. I was like, oh, am I disconnecting or connecting? So we must be still good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sometimes it's very quiet.
It's all good. Let me just delete this template. We don't need that anymore. And then, yeah, so this is a decent looking shape. This is just one section of a lip that's just going to cascade across. Let me put this in we don't need this anymore. I'm going to delete that and then make a new sequence. Or I guess just a regular group is fine. And then put it into that group. All right. So now we're going to just duplicate these a bunch of times. Oh, actually, let me shape it really quick. Sorry about that. Let me take the grab tool. I'm just going to go in here. We don't need it to select in all frames. And then we're going to just kind of take the tip of that thing, and I'm just going to angle it to the left, because we're going to mirror this whole wave over, and it'll be moving over to the right. So this little part right here is a small detail that kind of goes a long way. Just helps make it a little bit.
So you do that now frame by frame?
Yeah, just going in, editing it. This is like just a small detail, but I kind of like doing that. It helps. And then now we use select in all frames, grab that thick tool, select all the frames, and go to the last frame and just thicken up. I just like to thicken up the wave here, so then we get this kind of thickness in the height. So yeah, the width doesn't really matter, but that's just what you get with the thick tool. And then I just want to straighten it out a little bit. There. Let me see this. Just shape this a little bit so it's a little bit more flush. Oh yeah, and the back half of this doesn't really matter. It's going to be covered up by more geo. So that's okay if that's a little curved. But there's one section, and now we're going to go ahead and just duplicate these. Just like that on the last frame, so you can see kind of where geo is going to be, closing that gap. And then we just, let me duplicate this again. All right, duplicate it until you're about halfway down the wave. That should be fine. And then let's just go in here, and we got to just take these sections and offset them one frame at a time. This is pretty similar to the way that I would make these rigs in Maya. It's like you drive it with a blend shape, but the principle is kind of the same. You just make a little section of the wave and then offset the animation of it. by a frame or two or whatever. However more you the different timing of these sections, if you have them farther apart or closer or like at different sections, different times, then it'll be a different type of wave. But this is kind of a nice basic looking wave. Once you have them all lined up like that, it'll cascade. Yeah, it's so cool. It's really fun to come up with that. I was trying to figure out a better way instead of having to like keyframe each, or not keyframe, but like paint a whole thing like this and then erase each frame, kind of like that was not that fun. Yeah. So this is more of like a little bit more automated, so you can just have the computer interpolate the movement better. So now we got to do some color. So
don't forget to save every now and then.
So yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's just save that. That's just fine. In case. Yeah. All right. Let me grab another color. We're going to just grab a darker blue. And we just kind of paint right in the middle section right here, just to give it a little bit of shadow under that curl. And then let's take that weird light aquamarine color and put it on the top. And yeah, so coloring waves is, every single wave is going to be different, and you can take a look at reference or just kind of pick a wave that you want to make and then kind of recreate it in whatever color scheme you think works. But of course, everybody kind of knows that water is going to be the color of whatever the sky is that day or close to it. If it's sunny, it'll be blue. If it's sunset, it'll be purple and yellows and stuff like that. But another thing to take into account is actually what's underneath the water has a lot to do with what color it is too. If the sand on the bottom is like a regular, just like tan sand color, then the wave might look more green. And then if you're, I don't know, maybe Goro knows why this is, but if you look at a wave or the ocean from one view, like on the beach, it'll look different than if you're like in the wave or behind the wave in the ocean. It's like every angle from the ocean or from the wave looks different with different colors. Maybe that's just the way refraction works.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of refraction, reflection, and transparency and all of that, right? So spacing ratio matters like a lot. So.
Yeah, so it's like wherever you are, every time of day, like the water is always going to look different. It's pretty wild. So maybe take that into account if you're making a VR experience that needs to look a certain way. Maybe get reference from that certain angle. And then, so yeah, that's colored. And then let me just shape this a little bit. Whoops, what the heck did I just do?
I think you changed the transparent, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, oh no. So let me grab another color. Let me just draw the shape that I kind of wanted. So from the front, the shape is more kind of like this. It's like we're going to have a cascade down to a flat part of the ocean. And this will have the lip like that. And then we have the whitewater. So that's kind of the shape we want from the front. And so we're going to massage this geo with that grab tool and just kind of push it down. And yeah, these things are kind of getting kind of wonky, but if you're making this on your own, just take more time than I did. And I like to,
right?
Yeah, I kind of like to bend this back. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, if it's just it's meant to look like that. It's natural. But yeah, I kind of bend this section back to like this, so the wave has a nice flow to it that turns into a lump, and then the lump turns into flat water eventually. But you can make this wave super duper long, or just follow along. If you ever need to make this, you can make it the same shape as mine. Yeah, so from the front, that looks, okay. And then I'm going to this is going to annoy me. I'm going to just thicken that up. These are kind of twisting. It doesn't normally twist too bad like that, but yeah, you can fix it if you just thicken it up a little. And then, let's see, what else do I got? So this is kind of one section of a wave. When we animate these in Maya, you kind of make a huge one of these where it cascades for a few seconds or more, or however long your shot is. And then you just go in here and you follow it along with your character that's animated, that's like surfing the wave. And that's cool. That works too. You can do that the same way in Quill, but I kind of like my wave to be just stationary. It's easier to animate and add effects to. And then if you sell it with all the moving effects that it's moving, then you don't have to worry about having to do a lot more work. So I'm going to just show you guys how I like to do that. Let's see. Now we're going to just mirror this thing over. What is that layer? Let me make a new group. Whoops. Okay. So we can just duplicate that group and flip it in X. And then, oh man, some of these aren't that perfectly mirrored. Hold on a sec.
Something happened.
Yeah, something weird just happened. I must have duplicated it twice or something. No, that's better.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Okay, cool. So now we have two sections, creating one wave. This is, you don't need to know this, but this is like an A-frame wave. When it does that, it breaks on both sides. We want it to be more just breaking on one side. So if I'm going to make this for a shot, I want my character to be going down this way to screen right. Then I want to close off this section of the wave and then keep this section open. So let me merge some of this stuff together. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to bake some of this stuff. Let me bake this really quick. Oh, man. Yeah, actually, give me a sec. I just gotta bake this.
You're basically putting everything in a looping sequence and then bake it?
Yeah, click sequence if it's a regular group, and then loop it at the end, and then bake it. And then, oh yeah, and then I don't really know why this happens, but there's usually all this extra geo in the beginning, but I just go in and make sure select in all frames is off just in case, and then I just go in here and just select that stuff that came through, and now we have a clean.
Yeah, it happens because you shifted all the clips like one frame at a time to the right? And then it's basically baking the first frame until it fills up the first, like it
I see. Yeah.
First, right? It fills up the duration until the animation starts. So basically that's why you always see the first frame. So
okay, so I could probably solve it with like empty frames before that if I like did it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So cool. We got a baked one. I'm just gonna delete that old one.
Yeah, instead of offsetting, you would do it via empty frame, and then it should bake just fine.
Okay.
Yeah. But this works too. Just one extra thing you have to do, but
yep.
It's a matter of taste.
All right, I'm going to duplicate this now and then flip that in X. Okay. So now we have a baked one. Man, I keep forgetting stuff. My bad. Let me color this lip really quick. So Okay, so use that tool to select in all frames, grab your lip, and then you want to just kind of blend this in so it doesn't stick out so bad. Yeah, so it just connects. And yeah, it's awesome because it's toon shaded, so it just blends super easy, and that should be fine for now. And I put a little bit at the bottom too, a little bit of dark piece. All right.
It already looks so sweet. It's awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Now we'll duplicate it again. Okay, beautiful.
Nice.
So I'm just going to merge these guys. Just add a letter. And then merge that one too. Let me just clean up some of this stuff. So I'm going to just merge the whole ocean part and then the whole top lip part together. So it's easier to work with. Okay, perfect. Don't know why there's this extra group here.
So the wave itself, the brighter part, is still a separate one from the darker part? Or
yeah, I kept it separate. I think,
okay.
Yeah, you could merge it, but you would just add a bunch of empty frames on the ocean, on the bottom part. Which,
yeah, it would become huge then.
Yeah, you don't really need to.
Yeah.
So, oh man. So, yeah, these are merged. Hold on a sec. Okay. So yeah, that whole ocean part is merged, and then forgot another step, so just bear with me. So this side, I want to have it stop right when the water impacts the bottom. So I'm going to just delete all the frames up until then. So frame 18, and then we can take the loop off of that on both of these. Okay. So there we go. Now it's working better.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we get a little part that moves like a real wave, and then the other half we just add effects to, and it'll look like it's moving with the effects. So now we can merge these. Actually, I'm trying to think if I need to merge these. Okay. Let me take...
I guess you could keep it separate, right?
Yeah, I guess we could just keep it separate. Let me select all these, and I'm going to just kind of shape this down a little bit different on this side, so it's more distinguishable that the character has to go onto the right. Or, yeah, screen right.
So your deep understanding of waves, does it come from you being a surfer yourself, or is it also that you really studied them when you were doing like the 3D versions and stuff?
Yeah, so of course I learned a lot just being a surfer, but that kind of drove a lot of my passion to learn more about it. And you can look up this SIGGRAPH paper that was made by the artist who made that movie Surf's Up with the penguins, and they made so that SIGGRAPH paper that they made is like super useful if you want to learn more about waves.
I was there when they presented it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
That one was an amazing presentation. The Surf's Up is an amazing movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, if anyone here hasn't seen it, it's a really good one.
Yeah, it's such an underrated movie. It's so great the way that it's shot, like a mockumentary kind of too. It's awesome. And
yeah, it was one of the first ones using those handheld camera effects and animation, right? That was like really cool.
Yeah, and like I don't even think a lot of people think about that when it's like in terms of VR, because that's pretty much what it was, kind of like it's like almost like VR previs.
Totally.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is a good wave shape. And now what we need to do is add the first effects element, which is the lip. So just create a new layer. Grab your capped ellipse or capped cylinder brush, and then color white. And then I'm going to just kind of make a template. So that's kind of the shape of the lip that you want. And then we're going to just lower the opacity. And let's add just like 6 frames. And then loop it. And we're going to just start kind of moving the effects down the lip like this. Because if the wave is going to be moving to the right, it kind of helps if they're moving down to the left like this. But you pretty much just got to make a bunch of these things and cover up the geo that you made. Even though the geo actually looks kind of nice, but you want to take your time and make a lip that feels like the lip is getting, the wave is going through the air and kind of getting ripped apart by wind or like just atmosphere in general. As it's moving, it gets frothier and kind of bubbly just right at the edge. And at the base over here, or on the shoulder of the wave, it is smaller, and you can like paint these to be more blend in with the shoulder color. So then there's like kind of bits starting to move before it like turns into actual mist and foam. But yeah.
And that's so clever. So basically in your Malia gets 2 P's. It's basically like that where the wave just stopped and the rest of the motion is just the anim brush and stuff that creates the illusion that the wave keeps moving.
Yeah, like I just animated her.
That's great.
And I have like her wind or her hair moving like it's in the wind, and then the camera, of course, like all those camera moves help like a ton. Right. Yeah, it's easier if it's just a stationary wave a lot of the time. I love that aspect of making waves in Quill.
Well, now you have a wave that you can ride with your character anytime you want, right?
No, dude, yeah, it's awesome. Cool. I love it. I can just dream up any crazy maneuver that I can't do in real life and just go and do it in VR. Love it.
Do you ever like analyze like what you could do in VR first, and then you try to do it in real life? I wonder.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, in high school, I would do that a lot, where I'd draw like a sequence of moves and poses and stuff.
Really?
And then go and do that and try to develop that as like my style, you know? I would look at like 2 different riders that I really liked, and I would try to combine their style together and then go do it. And it worked. Yeah, it works. That's like a really fun way of looking at sports, but it's very like, you know, surfing's very subjective and creative anyways. So it kind of like leads to that. But man, this is kind of looking like a mess, but you want to do this a lot cleaner if you're making this.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks good to me. It's about the concept. It's conceptual, right?
Yeah, exactly. As long as you understand what elements you kind of need to make a wave, then hopefully this is helpful. But yeah, I'm going to just, whoops. So that should be good enough for now. And yeah, you can make these, the lip like different colors if you want, like maybe like a light pink if it's in the sunset or something. But a lot of the time, like white color for Whitewater is just really clear. Like it just helps understand like, oh, this is starting to be like water frothing and like bubbling. So yeah, it's helpful when it's like that. So this is working, but only when the wave stops. So now we just need to make a new layer and kind of frame by frame move this loop to match the lip falling, and then we'll hand it off to looping effects animation. So let me duplicate this, and I created a new empty layer, and then I'm going to create some frames in the empty layer up to frame 18, because that's when the wave stops. And then we're going to just merge that down in. And then we can take the original loop and trim it until frame 19. And then the animation that we created, or the layer that we created, that we merge the loop into, we create an empty frame. So now when we play it, nothing happens. But it's a seamless handoff. And then we're gonna just kind of track that into the lip. Let me just delete that template. Let me save this again, and then take your grab tool. And I don't want select in all frames. I want to just select specific frames here.
Yeah, you have to be super aware of that checkbox, right? You could destroy everything.
But I love that checkbox. It is so helpful.
Yeah, it is super helpful for sure. Yeah.
So I'm gonna just grab frames 1 through. Well, hold on. Yeah, maybe frames 1 through 10. Or maybe 1 through 9 is cool. And then we're going to just bend those. I'm kind of just blocking out where they go. And then let's grab 10 through maybe 14. Whoops. And then block those in. And then we're going to just go frame by frame and tweak this a little bit. And it's just awesome. You can use your hand to just place the dang thing, because we're in VR, so it doesn't take that long to do frame by frame animation.
Coming from Houdini, this must be a dream, right? Coming from traditional.
Yeah. I love working in Houdini. I love working in Houdini more than Maya. But still, yeah, it's just if I'm trying to make something look stylized, it's I got to get out of Houdini, man.
Yeah.
Have you ever used Houdini, Goro?
No. I used Lightwave, Maya, XSI, and 3D Studio Max, but Maya is my go-to tool, but it's definitely can be a pain.
Yeah, Maya.
Sure.
Yeah, Maya is such a weird program, but that's just what everyone uses, so we got to use it. But I want to get more into Blender for sure. All those tutorials that are coming out.
Same here. I tried to learn it, and then I put it away, and then I forget, and then I forget everything I learned, and then I try to learn it again. So eventually I'll get it, but yeah.
Yeah, it'll probably take when I learned Houdini, it took me a good year to learn that, just to be kind of...
Houdini is a very different type of 3D app, right? It's more node-based, and it's very different from all the other apps.
Yeah, it's so much more organized, and it's procedural because it's node-based, so it's like Nuke in a way, if there's anybody that composites. So yeah, it's really helpful.
But modeling in it is a nightmare, right? Because you have to model with nodes.
I modeled the whole character. I modeled my character Malia in Houdini. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and I tried to rig her too, but there wasn't that many great tools. But yeah, modeling took a while. It took me a month to model her, but I'm also a terrible modeler. Let me just make sure this is recording too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. So yeah, now we have this side of the lip working pretty well. It's falling and then it loops properly. So let me take this and we can just mirror this over to the other side. Ideally, you would want to make this more custom and add variation to the other side, but we can just mirror it. So duplicate it and then flip it in X. And I want to turn off that onion skinning. And it went somewhere.
It's invisible right now, right? So
I guess I just didn't duplicate it.
Hey, Lucas.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you tried importing Quill meshes into Houdini? I don't know if that's
I've just done it from Maya. I think one time maybe I tried to import my wave from Houdini into here. But yeah, it's just I don't know how to really edit them very well. So I don't know. I don't have that much experience with it. I've just brought it in and kind of looked at it as for reference.
Oh, I think you meant the other way, from
the other way around.
Oh, whoops, my bad. Yeah, I haven't done that. That would be amazing. My girlfriend wants to take my wave and render it. It would look sick, I think. Is that what you're asking?
It's also fluid simulator, right? Or
Oh yeah,
from what I've learned back in college.
yeah. Houdini's you can sim fluids and stuff, but you can make geo kind of like this too, and then add fluids on particles on top of it to make it look like a fluid. But yeah, there's certain movies where like Moana and stuff would use a full fluid sim. But yeah, in Surf's Up, they did more of like geo with like just effects on top. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question properly.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you ever tried it, and I don't know if that kind of breaks the VR animation thing.
No, but I gotta explore more and try more stuff in other programs. For sure.
Yeah, you're giving me some ideas. I've been rendering some Jello stuff recently. I would love to try that with like a wave.
Oh yeah.
I want to see what that looks like. You get like crazy looks, because what I love about like this approach, what you're doing is like you're 100% in control, right? You don't really wait for happy accidents with changing values and like a simulation. You control what you're going to see, and I think that's what I love about it. And it's so straightforward. It's so fast. I mean, you're 30 minutes in and you already have like a pretty decent wave. that you can't do that in a 3D tool. You know, you're probably still pushing and pulling polygons or setting up your simulation and stuff. While you're already having a wave here. You know, it's just awesome.
So now I'm just bringing that lip over to the other side, and we don't really need to make the lip go all the way to the end, because we're going to cover up a lot of that side with just Whitewater. But let me just trim this and then go frame by frame with this too. Whoops. Yeah, with simulation and stuff, it is a lot of happy accidents. You kind of just try to sim the thing, go to sleep, wake up the next day, look at your render. But that's like a lot of 3D, like you with even just rendering in general. You got to just kind of wait a while. Yeah. But technology is getting better. Like all the real-time stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Blender Eevee. That's why I wanted to get into Blender to check out the real-time rendering capabilities. You know, like the PBI renderers that I use with Redshift and Octane, that's already pretty fast, but it's not real-time, right? So, Redshifts pretty fast for sure, but yeah, not quite there. And if you up the samples, you still have to wait for hours, you know. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The previews are great though. It's like super fast for the previewing and stuff. Like I remember back in the days, you render a region in Maya and then you have to like wait, you know, and then you change something, wait. And now it's changing in real time. So that helps a lot. But then if you want like a high fidelity render, you still have to wait, right?
Oh, you're talking about like, the difference between like IPR and like bucket.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bucket rendering should never be a thing anymore. So I'm going to make some Whitewater now. I just created a new layer, and I'm going to just make this one also just like 6 frames, and then loop it. And then when it crashes, the water smashes into the bottom part of the wave, and then pretty much more little bubbles just get exploded out of it. Play. There we go. And then ideally you would want like the movement of these to be rolling forward and like kind of bouncing chaotically forward. They're kind of like skipping across the surface of the water. But it doesn't really need to be that detailed to sell it. I think like most of the time when you just kind of make it this chaotic, frenetic explosion of water, then it works fine too. So, and I don't know, there might be other ways to make Whitewater look nicer, like maybe some of Daniel's techniques to make like smoke would be like interesting to play with too, but I haven't really done that because this just seems to work pretty well And maybe it would be faster if I made like a piece of solid geo that I don't need to like worry about trying to cover up the rest of this geo, and then just do effects on top of it. But I'm just gonna try to add effects here. And the shape of the Whitewater is kind of moving. It's kind of like if the wave is moving this way, like then the Whitewater is going to be dragged behind it that way. So the shape ends up being kind of tapered in that direction. And in real life, the wave, of course, like makes the Whitewater like way down the line of it too. Like it's just most of the ocean is like tons of Whitewater just rolling, or at least towards the shore. So yeah, you can get in here and make interesting shapes too, like different peaks that like kind of come up. When I did the VR animation for the Malia one, I kind of made 3 sections of Whitewater, and then had them explode at different timings, just to get like more.
Section, also like 3 different layers.
It was like 3 layers, yeah. So then they could be like shooting off at different times. But yeah, so you can have a lot of fun with playing with Whitewater because it's like, I don't know, it's very forgiving to make Whitewater like this because it's literally just a mess. But that's what it is in real life. Like, yeah. But and then the size of Whitewater is on a barreling wave like this. The impact is so strong by the water that it goes up over the top of the wave. It can be pretty big. All right, so that's that, and then you want to add kind of little pieces coming off of it too, because we can show that the entire body of Whitewater is kind of made up by these like littler pieces. It just helps. Little details with big masses. It just helps sell the idea. And yeah, that's kind of what it's made out of. It's just these little tiny bubbles all together. And that's why they look so different compared to the rest of the water. Because, yeah, they're like, it's like cappuccino foam kind of. It's but just way more dangerous. So yeah.
Exactly like cappuccino foam. I like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to add a little bit of color. Just grab the blue and then let's select in all frames. And then, wait a second. All right. And then I'm just going to put just a little tiny bit of color, just so you can see more movement. You could also duplicate that and then shift it over and then paint like a darker version of it too. But yeah, that should work for now. And then we just have to add some transform keyframes. So I'm going to go to frame. Let's go to frame 18, and then maybe 10 frames later, or maybe 11 frames later, and then set another key. And then we want to scale this guy down. Whoops. Hold on.
Yeah, you have to be on the key, right, to change.
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't. I was just didn't pay attention. So there we go.
Wow.
And then
So cool.
we got to make this ease out, because when it impacts at the beginning, it's exploding,
It's
and then
fast.
it's fast, and then it eases into its last pose, and then you can just trim this to show up. Whoops. Trim it right when it shows up, and then boom. So that,
No way. This is so cool.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Super awesome, man. I love that.
Thanks, guys. So there's another effects element. Now we got to do some lip spray. So this is going to just be trails of mist coming off of the lip. And let me put this into the wave layer. And I should have named some of this stuff. Let me name this wave. And then merge it. Okay,
Maybe it's a good time to save too.
good idea. And then I'm going to just grab white. And I'm going to use Daniel's method, but just in a very simple way. I'm going to just make like the most basic particle emitter with some dots. I'll show you what I do. Just grab them all, duplicate them. And then I want to put some of these in Z space. Give it 3 dimensions. This is very, very basic.
This is similar to what I did with the salt guy. When I did the cascade of salt.
Oh, with the salt bay. Yeah, the meme.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I did exactly the same as what you're doing. I did a bunch of dots and also in 3 dimensions in C space, and I use that technique to do the infinite loop movement and deforming. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. It's just an awesome thing you figured out. How did you figure that out eventually? Like just to make these kind of looping, emitting things. Were you just playing around one day and it came up with it, or?
Well, it was because of the ability to be able to bake. It wasn't possible before. So I took Godot's technique, the infinite loop technique.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And because we were able to bake recently after the update, I decided, it's so cool that we can bake this. So now we can edit all this animation that the infinite loop animation. I was just experimenting because I wanted to get the trail for the boat.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, we all just learn from each other then. Thank God they included the bake into this.
Yeah, I mean, my thing came from Goro's idea, and then that kind of built on top of each other's ideas. That's awesome about it.
And then Yari changed the world after that.
And then Yari he took that and then he took it to another level.
Was that the tutorial where he's like zooming in and like pinching things with the thick and thin tool, or is that a different video?
Yeah, exactly. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing blew my mind. You guys were all getting your mind blown in that live stream. It was so funny to watch.
Especially Goro.
Yeah, I was freaking out. Hey, Daniel, have you landed on the moon yet? You sound like you're chiming in from like Apollo 13 or something.
I'm on a moving car right now.
Oh, okay, that's amazing. It sounds like you're in space somewhere.
I'm actually on the 5 on my way to San Jose, so.
So not the moon, almost the moon.
Not the moon.
So you're coming to my hood then?
Yeah, I mean, I can knock on your door if you want.
Social distance knocking.
Social distance
I'll wear
knocking.
my mask. I'll wear my mask. Don't worry about it.
It's a nice audio effect you have going on there. Yeah, you should say over after every time you talk. It's super believable.
Roger that.
Roger that. Over. I'm gonna take the baby. Over.
He's saying we have a problem.
Baby's cranky. Over.
So good.
All right.
Okay, so we've been talking about you're creating like a particle loop right now, right?
Yeah. I just made a really simple particle emitter, and I'm gonna just place it down into the wave. And let's see. Okay.
So this is just a frame-by-frame loop, right? Where you use the markers to find the right loop point, and then you erase the top and the bottom to make it look infinite, right?
Yep, exactly. And if you want to learn how to do that, go to the animated effects tutorial on the Virtual Animation YouTube page.
There you
go. Shameless plug. And then, I'm going to just select these in all frames and kind of start tweaking it to be a better shape. I'm going to bend it back. and to the left because the wave's moving to our right. And then I want to just make a little bit of like an S kind of shape. Once you add that S shape, that's when it starts to look really pretty. And then I want to make the bottom thicker, make the top a little thinner, and maybe just add a color, maybe some blue on the top. If we had a sky, maybe we'd like match the color of the blue from the sky, so it kind of fades off better. So that's one little part of the lip. We want to add maybe like 4 more of these. So let me create a new group and then put that into the group. And then I'm going to just duplicate this, put it here, duplicate it, maybe put it here. And then let me grab a... Oh, wait a sec. I had it selected. Okay, there we go. Whoops. Okay. And then, yeah, we kind of make like a shape that's more of like a curve. A lot of the time when the spray is going off the wave like that, it's kind of like, I don't know, creating like this arc over it. And if you have like a bunch of these in the ocean when you're surfing, it's absolutely beautiful because it creates all the mist in the air, creates like tons of rainbows off every wave. It's amazing. I made one piece about that, but I used like Houdini and stuff to make it. And then I just added a rainbow in After Effects over the top of the image, but it turned out kind of successful. So I'm gonna just use transform keys to stick this onto the wave. And the wave was breaking with ease out, or no, ease in. And then set another key. Okay. So now we're gonna just move this back, and then it kind of moves with the wave. It's pretty funky though. So I'm going to just add more keys to all these layers and tweak it a little bit more. Move that guy down here, move that guy over here.
So animating it frame by frame with transform keyframe?
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So we'll stick a little.
So it doesn't slide.
Yeah. And you could do this a number of ways. But I'm going to just...
And in theory, you could then set the interpolation to stepped, even if you do every frame, right? And then it will stick perfectly.
Yeah, you could do that.
But since it's water, I guess it's somewhat forgiving if it's not perfectly sitting on top.
Yeah, I think it's all right. Yeah. If it's not super perfect. I mean, just the art style. The art style of Quill is just very forgiving in general, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna just leave it like that, and then there's some parts coming off of it, and it's not perfect, but I'm gonna just bake it anyways. It'll look better when it's baked, anyways. Whoops.
Because then it becomes 12 frames per second, right?
Yep. Bake that. Let me see this. Okay, so that looks a little better, and then we don't need the loop on it. And we can take the loop off the original one we made too, and we can just trim that. So then there's another nice animation handoff. Oh, whoops. We need an empty frame. And now it'll hand off well. So there we go. And that's only one way I've experimented with making offshore spray like this in Quill, but I bet there's a lot of better ways to do it. And I feel like it would also need some more trail and longer on certain frames. Like when it's falling, you could go in and tweak some of these so that, yeah, they kind of match the movement of the wave better. But this should be fine for now. And then the last, oh yeah, let me add some more geo, the front part of the wave and the back part. Let me put this.
Just for time reference, you had 54 minutes in, but it's up to you how you want to go. But
do you mind if I go about an hour and a half or hour 20 or something?
Go ahead. Like it's up to you. Like it's your time, so If you can go, keep going.
All right, sweet. So, all right, and I'm going to create some more geometry. So let's find, oh, whoops. Okay, on this layer, should work. So I'm just going to grab the ribbon brush and create some more geo in front of the wave that's the same color. And just make it flush like this. And then on the back of the wave, we want it up like that. And then you want to just grab your grab tool and kind of bend these down to match the shape of the wave. And this is just a low res version of doing it. You could probably make it with like a bunch of strokes and make it perfect. But this will work too.
It always depends on what angle you will look at it. If you look at it in VR, or if you're just meaning to render a 2D video, right? It really depends on what your end output is.
Yeah. So, yeah, planning is important. Like a little bit of thinking how you're going to make something is definitely important. And one thing I want to mention about the back of the wave is a lot of the time I see in like logos and in feature animation and like in Moana, there's like a character like this where the wave kind of looks like this. And like, won't really see that in real life. Like the wave that skinny. The way the waves break in real life is it has a big wall of water behind it that gradually gets more mellow. So of course, like feature animation's like more, it's exaggerated, so I get it, but this makes more physical sense. So the top of the wave is going to be extending for a long time, and it breaks eventually because there's like the energy is like moving across the ocean, this big wall of massive water, and then once like it hits a sandbar underneath the water, then that'll like topple the energy, and the top of the wave will kind of crumble. Or in this case, it's moving so fast that once that energy gets released, then the wave lip gets thrown forward into this barrel shape. So that's that. And I just drew on my wave. Whoops. Okay. Let me just adjust this a little bit more. That's not good. All right, that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to add the surface texture. So this will be the last effect on this wave. And then I'm going to show you guys the Shoreline Wave, which will only take like 10-15 minutes. So I'm going to use Daniel's method for this and just kind of make these S shapes. And you want to look at reference when you're trying to make sea foam. You definitely want to look at what reference. It'll look more like webbed and connected, but this I kind of have like more of a ripple-y situation to give it just like texture on the surface of the water. And then I just connect some of these S shapes with C shapes, different thick and thin lines. I saw some guy painting waves on YouTube and he was saying that, so I'm just repeating, just kind of connect them with these C shapes. So yeah, that should be fine for now. I'm going to move kind of quickly through this. Get your straight line tool out. Make these markers. Put it in a sequence layer. And then let's make it 9 frames. And the speed of this will determine how fast your wave kind of looks like it's moving. So let's make this linear. Oh, whoops. I forgot to duplicate this. And delete the red markers, or no, don't delete the red markers yet. Gotta set the key. Okay. All right. Let's delete these red lines. And then loop the sequence layer above it, and then hit bake. And now this is looping. And this is the heaviest part of the wave. If you make this really detailed and like really small and intricate and stuff, it becomes super duper heavy. So something to keep in mind. And then let's select in all frames. Take our eraser. Go to the first frame and do a stroke on the top. Go to our last frame. Whoops. And do a stroke on the bottom. And now it loops.
Nice.
And then we're going to just name this surface. And then we'll duplicate it. I'm going to save that for later. And then we can put this into our wave group. All right. And then just scale this down. And then let's do some color and then add a little bit of some S-turn into this. So I like to keep it wider out here and then maybe a little bit thinner at the top. And then I try to make a little bit of an S shape. And then all right, then let's grab some color. And kind of blend this in. That should be all right. You can get really creative with coloring these things. Were you going to say something?
Looks so good, man. It just looks so good. Just mesmerizing to watch
yeah. I love these things. Yeah. So I'm going to move that in here. And I'm going to just do one section. Usually you want a bunch in the barrel. Like in my VR experience, I had a bunch of them inside of here. But I'm going to just show you how to do one because it is it's another animation handoff where it becomes tedious. But let me just select this in all frames, grab the grab tool, and then we're going to just bend it like crazy. And then try to make it flush with the ocean if you can. It's kind of like the finishing touch, because this part is definitely the coolest looking part of the wave, I think. This was also really difficult to do in Houdini and Maya, which was like, you have to like, I don't even know. I could never figure it out how to move a textured surface across something at a different speed than the geo itself. And then to add surface foam was like crazy to render because it was just even more particles on top of a moving texture. So yeah, it was a headache. So this is nice.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is that a wave has so many aspects to it, so you have to layer so many effects. While here you kind of use similar approaches for everything, versus like in simulation, you have to every time come up with like, how do I solve this now? Now I have this piece. Now the next piece is like challenging in different ways. While here, you really simplify it to just like doing it all by hand, much, much faster, right? So it's like amazing.
Yeah, just its most fundamental elements, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I just add some a new layer and create empty frames up to frame 18, and then merge it into the loop. And then I just start erasing pretty much. There might be a better way to do this.
So are you considering yourself an animator or like an effects artist?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I feel like your animations are super high fidelity. I mean, the first one you did with Malia, where she actually rides the wave and then comes to a halt at the end, I love that. Those poses and the weight and the timing and stuff like that. It feels like I totally thought you would be like a full-time animator, but it sounds like you're doing quite a bit of technical stuff as well.
Yeah, I like to do both. I also really like storyboarding. I don't know. I kind of just like a lot of the stuff in animation. So I guess
so you'd be like a generalist, right?
Yeah, like an animation generalist, but not. I would not consider myself like a lighter or a modeler. So I'm not like a normal like my generalist is like if you get hired for a company as a generalist, it's usually entails just lighting, texturing, and modeling. But like that's not what I can do. For some reason, I just suck at that. But yeah, anything that moves, I really like, and I really like storyboarding and previs too. But yeah.
So would you consider yourself more creative than technical? For sure, right? To me,
I don't know. This is some self-evaluation. I'm not exactly sure. I think I'm both, honestly.
That's great. That's rare. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm organized, but I'm like obsessed with creating stuff. So I guess it's both. So I'm gonna just. Oh, I probably should have saved another one of these. That's okay. We'll just duplicate this one. Okay, what? Don't know what that layer is. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing that we did with the lip crashing, or the lip movement, where you just do an animation kind of handoff from a moving effects to a stationary looped effects. Let me see. This is going to work. Okay, so there's that. Why isn't this moving? Oh yeah, it is moving. Yeah, okay. Okay. There we go. So the other ones can just be moved. Yeah, you can move them all over the place. That'll just make the scene heavier and heavier. And I should have had one section that was not curling over like this, but I forgot. So let me just. Oh, I think there's another one. Yeah, let me just edit this really quick. Actually.
Are you coloring this now?
I'm just erasing the section that I don't need. Yeah, because I didn't make a section that was ready. Okay. Yeah, now I'm going to just duplicate a couple more. And ideally, you'd want to offset the timings of these and give them variation in shape and color. So we can just kind of blend in different areas with more blue, or you can take some of the green. Let's find this guy. Yeah, maybe there's like highlights or just some speckles of different colors in here. It's really interesting. I don't know why, but it's so cool looking when you have like some of these darker colors come and go over the lighter colors of the wave. So when I go over here, I just love the way that some of these look like, I don't know, something about that makes it almost look like the wave is lighter than the actual surface foam, which is really interesting to me. But yeah, I digress.
Yeah, when I went through that tube in your Money Gets Tube piece, that was just incredible. You know, like that feeling of being in that tunnel. You captured that so well. Like, I mean, you know, like I said, I know on the surface I never experienced that, but you brought me close to that feeling. Like it was really like, whoa, I could see how you can get addicted to this stuff, you know, because it really felt like magical already, like being in your drawn piece. So that was like pretty mind-boggling to me.
Have you
this
seen
looks amazing.
There's another guy on the Quill Theater that made a piece of him as a child, like making a body surfing one, and he makes a barrel as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. He did it like totally hand animated. Yeah, I haven't talked to him though, but yeah, it was impressive. Okay, so yeah, here's the barreling wave and all the elements that you need to create the wave. So let me just go over one more thing to show you guys the way that I make a shoreline wave.
Can you actually get one before you do that? Can you actually show it from multiple angles? Get a little bit closer while it's playing. Oh, look at that!
So you can go through this, and yeah, this is not good. You got to go in and make sure everything is tweaked nicely. But yeah, it works. And in real life, there would be a lot more Whitewater. So the way Whitewater kind of works. I noticed this one time when I was on a pier, looking down at a wave breaking, and the surface foam is actually getting dragged behind the Whitewater. And that's what creates the surface foam for the ocean for the next wave to pick up and get thrown around in. So yeah, what's happening is the wave is moving forward and the Whitewater drags behind this kind of mess of foam, and it's like thicker at the beginning and then thinner towards the end as it dissolves into the ocean. But so if you take that concept, it makes making like a shoreline wave kind of simple. So I'm going to just hide this wave group, and we can take this guy. You grab this blue color. Grab your capped, rounded, what is this? Yeah, capped ellipse brush. And then make some lines, some noodles.
Spaghetti
noodles. And duplicate it. Take a white color, make a new... Oh, I made that on the wrong layer. Wait. Okay. Okay, then just go ahead and erase this. I'm just making kind of when the wave is breaking up against the sand and you're walking along the shore, you'll kind of see a shape kind of like this coming up on the sand. And that's going to be what we're going to use as the template, just like we did on the lip. And we're going to just make a mini version of what we did on the Whitewater. So make 6 empty frames or more, however you want. And then, whoops. And then take your round brush and just start kind of going crazy. And this is kind of, it's pretty much like what happens when a wave that we saw that's barreling and it breaks goes all the way to the surface, all the way to the shore. It'll run out of steam, and now we have like this kind of thin pancake of a whitewater, but it's carrying still some surface foam that comes off of it. So that's what's happening, and you just got to fill this in. There's like this weird piece. Whatever. All right. And then you can kind of have parts trail off of it really easily. Whoops, that's kind of big. Okay. Yeah, just like the Whitewater, you can get really creative with the shapes and how the water's falling off of it, or the Whitewater's dissolving into the ocean. You want to just kind of sell it that it's moving forward. And then let's take our ripples or our surface foam, wherever you are.
You have a selection still, right? Is that the,
yeah, you're right. Yep. And then all I'm going to do is just select in all frames and thicken it up from the base. That might be a little much. Something like that. And then just a little bit of an S turn. Whoa. And then dissolve it with the blue color. Blue. All right, and then let me just paint a little bit of a different color on this ocean. I think I have a color palette grab for my project. Yep. And then we're gonna just, oh, that's sand color. Psych. We can make the sand with that color right now. The ribbon brush, whoops. And then get the wave. Let me take its kind of greenish aquamarine color. And then I'm just going to do a stroke so it's lighter, because it'll be thinner, thinner water. And then I kind of want to make this a little thicker. Okay. Certain places. Okay. And now I'm going to put all this stuff in a group, except for the sand. I think there's, yeah, we can delete that template. And now we want about maybe 48 frames is cool. Ideally, whoops, I forgot to duplicate this. So we need a couple more of these guys. And then loop that at 48 frames, and it's better if you make sure that your Whitewater is the same effect, is the same amount of frames as your surface foam and your ripples. I think mine are a little different, but it's okay for the demo. And then we're going to just bake.
Yeah, I think whenever you use anim brush, like even if it doesn't match completely, you rarely see the jump, right? But
yeah.
It's always good to have a multiple divisible by this shortest loop.
Yeah. It's best when you have it like that,
Yeah.
but we should be all right. So, bake. There we go. Okay. And now, I'm just going to select in all frames. Actually, let me optimize this. Optimize current layer. And now, we'll select in all frames, grab our grab tool, and then I make the size about this big, and I'm going to just pretend that my hand is the shore breaking across the sand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I kind of just twist my wrist a little bit and move it forward, and it's kind of looks like shore moving across the water, or moving across the sand. And you can also put a translation key, so you can key the opacity, or like it'll go into the sand too. That looks pretty cool. But yeah, this is kind of the general idea of how that would move. Let me take that grid off. Okay. So yeah, I think this is kind of a useful way of making shoreline. There just wasn't an answer, I feel like, to making like shoreline waves. So hopefully this helps somebody if they're curious and they're making like a beach scene. And there's lighter ways of making the same concept, but I think this is a good starting point.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I think if it's slower, if it's like very calm, you might be able to do something sort of with just transform keyframes. If it's like less movement on the water. I experimented with the shoreline waves a little bit on my piece I did with a girl by the beach, but that was more like thin lines with transform keyframes, and I did less of the foam, because it was more like a calm ocean thing,
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, it was like a really calm day at the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one that was a concept piece by, what is it, like Lingy or?
Youngling, yeah. Youngling.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Amazing artist.
Yeah. Oh, this looks crazy. So good.
I want to just finish it off with some sand. Wherever that went. There it is. There it is. Let's see. Yeah. So it's looking pretty wild. And this isn't, of course, how a real ocean would look, but it definitely feels like you're looking at an ocean. And these are the elements that I wanted to show you guys today. I was going to explain how to make a mushy wave as well. And all that is like, it's like for a surfer that's just riding a wave that isn't barreling. All you do for that is just take the whitewater and the shape of the ocean, and you just take away the barrel. So you take the whitewater and just put it like over here, so it's breaking. And you don't have to do the whole beginning part with the barrel falling over and everything. But yeah, these are the elements that I want to show you guys today. So if there's any questions, is there any questions, Goro?
The chat has been really quiet. Everybody's just mesmerized by what you did. So there's no questions that I can see. If anyone has questions, you can either shout into the microphone now or put it in the chat. But other than that, we're at 11:24. So
okay, great. Well, yeah.
I have a question for Lucas.
Oh yeah, what's up?
Have you personally captured your own audio from like surfing in the barrel before?
No,
I don't know if that's possible.
I haven't done that, but I bet you could do it with aren't new iPhones like waterproof?
I don't know if I would risk it with salt water.
I was curious, because that sounds like half of the experience, I'm sure. So
for my VR piece, I did. I just went on YouTube and found like a waterfall sound. It was like 12 hours by waterfall, like ASMR, and I just ripped that, and that's fine. I'm not making any money off of it, so I seem to be able to use that one fine. But yeah, I needed something that was like kind of loud, because when you're in the barrel, it's like I don't know, it kind of sounds like it's not calm. Like it doesn't sound like, oh, like peaceful water, like lapping at your feet. It's like, no, it sounds like dumping water, like a waterfall. So
Wow.
I found that to be helpful. But yeah, my friend, my buddy who does sound can like tell me how to get waterproof speakers or microphone or something.
I always wondered, so you can ride a wave like this, right? You have done that before, right?
Yeah.
Like a real tube ride. So I guess that's like super difficult. It's something that you only like advanced surfers can do, really, right? Like,
yeah.
And I was wondering, in those videos, I always see like how you get swallowed by the foam at the end, and then you don't see the surfer for a while until he comes out of the foam, right? Like once the wave crashed behind you.
Yeah.
Are you actually blinded in that moment? Are you actually in the complete limbo in the white, or how does it look like inside? Like I was always wondering that, because it looks like surfers disappear for a while after the tube, after they come out of the tube.
Are you talking about when the wave spits, like kind of in my animation?
Exactly. So.
Oh yeah. Well,
if you're in that foam on your right now, right? Like if you go out of the wave, if you're in this,
oh yeah,
like towards the end.
Dude, I don't know how you just feel your way. It's like this weird, like bumpy rodeo ride, and you just kind of feel your way out of it. I don't think, people don't really see a lot of what's happening, and sometimes water just gets in your eye. When you're like dropping into the wave, all of a sudden bits of water will shoot into your eye, and then you're like, no, but then you just kind of recover and somehow make it out. Yeah, it's just a really difficult sport to do, but I'm not that good at it. I've been doing it like too long to be kind of like mediocre, but I just find it fun. I don't even need to be like the best to enjoy it. It's just awesome. So yeah. If you guys want to see any more of my animations, go check out my Instagram at Beach Chickens Media. And thanks. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to check out how I make waves in Quill.
Thank you. This was amazing.
Thank you, Lucas.
Yep. Thanks, guys. All right. Bye.